What's going on, everyone? My name is Andrew, and welcome to Real Estate Basics. This was originally supposed to be episode 17. However, this is going to be episode 2.5. I'll tell you why here in just a minute. Today we'll be talking about why real estate makes a great investment. So my entire plan for these first few videos up until now was to cover how to analyze a rental property, which we still will. However, it dawned on me, we never talked about why I'm so interested in real estate to begin with. So let's dive right on in. For me, there are 4 reasons why I love real estate. So let's say you bought a rental, 2.5. And going back to episode 2, our cash flow explanation, this particular property we were able to purchase for $150,000. And we're able to rent it out for $1,400 a month, which gives us a cash flow, a true cash flow of $249 a month. Well, put that in a year, that's just shy of $3,000 per year. And this is truly passive income. Right now, this one home is not enough to retire off of. But while I'm still working my W-2 job, that's extra income now that I didn't have previously. And we get into what's commonly referred to as the income snowball. So let's say I save up for a couple more years, then I go buy property number 2. That also brings me $3,000 per year. Now I have $6,000 per year extra that I didn't have before. And I keep working my W-2. And you can see how the more properties you acquire, the faster and faster you'll be able to save to then reinvest and get more properties. Truly a snowball effect. Now this is just my strategy. There are many other strategies to get into real estate and acquire real estate much faster than my plan is. But for me, this is just what makes sense to me, and so that's what I'm doing. Second reason why I love real estate is principal paydown. What is it? So every month you have a mortgage payment of principal and interest based on your loan terms, loan amount, interest rate, etc. Well, looking at our cash flow, right, we've covered all of our expenses with our tenants' rent. So what that means is every month they're making that principal payment for us. Your tenant is paying down the principal for you in addition to giving you cash flow. Now, sure, at first your principal interest is going to be low, especially compared to interest. But as time goes on, the principal portion of that payment will go up while the interest portion of the payment will go down. Here's a simple graph showing a mortgage amortization. So down here we have principal. So the first month your principal payment is going to be low, but your interest is going to be high. And as time goes on, you'll see eventually your principal goes up and up and up while your interest goes down and down and down. So the longer you hold the property, the more principal you start to pay down. So you can see as time goes on, as long as you hold the property, your tenant is paying more and more of the principal for you. Third reason, appreciation. Now, appreciation doesn't really come into play until we do a couple of things. Either we sell the house, or we do something like a cash out refinance to access that equity, or get a home equity line of credit to access that equity as well. But for argument's sake, let's say you don't touch the equity. Average annual appreciation across the country is typically 3 to 5% per year. So we'll assume 4% per year. After that first year of owning, That's $6,000. So now your home is worth $156,000. After 2 years, we have a little bit more appreciation because now it's 4% times 156,000. So now your home is worth $162,240. After year 3, we get even more. You can see there's a compounding effect going on. So after just 3 years, we gained just over $12,000 worth of value. Imagine what happens when you hold the house for 30 years or more. Now, again, appreciation, it goes up and goes down as the housing market goes up and goes down. But in the long run, typically appreciation will always go up. The last reason why I love real estate are the tax incentives. Now, we're not going to get too involved with them today because we are going to be covering them in episode 8, the tax advantages to owning real estate. But to give you a sneak peek, we'll be going over passive activity loss, which basically means all your deductions and your depreciation of your rental property will allow you to offset your income, your rental income, and at a minimum, reduce that income to a net zero to the IRS in their eyes, which means you won't have to pay taxes on your rental income. There are further things with passive activity loss where if you make under a certain pay threshold, you can then take that loss and subtract it from your active W-2 income to further reduce your taxable income. Now, there are some stipulations with that. Right, if you make over $150,000, that won't apply to you. But what can apply is the real estate professional. But we'll get into that in episode 8. Just understand that there are a lot of tax advantages to owning real estate. And these are just holding on to the real estate. There are other tax advantages when you go to sell, or if you want to, say, exchange your property for another property using a 1031 exchange. But like I said, we'll cover that in episode 8. Let's put it all together. This same house, cash flow, just shy of $3,000 a year. In 30 years, that's just under $90,000 total. Principal paydown, with that first mortgage payment of $205, comes out to just under $2,500 in the first year. Well, if you hold the house for 30 years, eventually all $150,000 of that principal will be paid down. Appreciation. Again, assuming that 4% per year, in 30 years, that same home will be worth $486,510 for a total appreciation of $336,510. And lastly, the tax incentives, right, which at least at a minimum, if you get a good CPA who understands real estate, you should be able to show to the IRS using passive activity loss that at a minimum, your rental income is not taxable. More to come on that later. So let's assume you've held this property for 30 years and then you decided to sell it. Well, you made your $89,000 in cash flow. The house is paid off for you. It appreciated quite a bit, not to mention all the tax incentives. So adding all that up comes out to $576,000. If you divide that into 30 years, you didn't realize it, but you're making $19,000 per year. And this is assuming you sold the house after 30 years. It's assuming that you never raised the rent, so your cash flow never changed, right? Because believe it or not, as time goes on, and property values go up, rent also tends to go up. So your cash flow will typically go up as well. Let's assume instead of selling after those 30 years, you decided to keep holding it. Right? Well, now the house is paid off. So guess what? That mortgage payment, that principal and interest that you were paying every month to the bank, well, the loan's paid off. So now that goes to you. So a $120,000 loan at 3%, that's a $506 per month. Now that's $6,000 a year that instead of going to the bank, it's coming to you. Appreciation in this case will be unrealized, right? Because they haven't sold the house and we haven't done any craziness like a cash out refi or establish a home equity line of credit. But realize it is still there and your house is still going up in value every year on average. And don't even get me started with the tax incentives. We'll get there. So just looking at your cash flow and your mortgage payment, now you're bringing in about $9,000 a year. Again, this value will be higher because in 30 years, if your rent hasn't been raised, there might be something going on there. But at a minimum, you're bringing in $9,000 per year. Now, my personal goal is to obtain 8 to 10 houses. Why? Well, when you multiply that value by 8 to 10, you can see now in passive income, with 8 to 10 houses, assuming they're all paid off, you could be pulling in anywhere from 72 up to 90,000 per year. And for me, that's a good enough number to retire, or at least make it to where I don't have to work, but instead I can work because I want to. That is the power of real estate investing. And this is why I'm so excited to teach all of you everything that I know so that you too can enjoy this real estate journey. That's all I have for today. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.